Hello folks, and welcome to part 2 of my playthrough of Barbarian Prince. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll pop a link in the corner of the screen and in the description down below. I am the Lone Adventurer. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel. If you enjoy content like this, namely a guy playing various solo adventure games and game books and things of that nature, do consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell notification icon. Right, with all that said, let's get down to it. When we left our Barbarian Prince at the end of the last video, he had just encountered some bandits, 3 bandits no less, in the mountains, and we need to fight those bandits now. This is 1 against 3. In the world of Barbarian Prince, having the odds stacked against you in that way is not great. So what we're going to do is we'll have 1 round of combat and we'll see whether that first round works out for us. Do we manage to get some damage in? Hopefully they won't do too much damage to me. And then we can crack on and go into a second round of combat. If it starts to look a bit nasty, then I'm probably just going to run away. Definitely an option sometimes in this game. So combat is fought in a series of rounds and continues until one side escapes or is wiped out. At the start of each round we decide which of our characters will face each of the characters encountered. And I've just realised that it does say in the event entry for bandits that they're ambushing us, so they will surprise us in combat. And surprise means they are allowed a bonus strike at the start of the combat, so they're all going to get to hit me before I get to hit them, which makes this doubly disastrous. So in order to escape, I need to perform an escape action, which I would have to do instead of striking. So if they beat the crap out of me, then there's not going to be much choice for me but to escape before I even have a go at striking them. So I really don't fancy my chances. So they're all going to hit me. And how does that work? We've got a little summary here. How it works is you subtract the combat skill of the striker from the combat skill of the target, and then you add on the result of a 2d6 roll. And then there's a few modifiers that can also affect the result. Based on the result, we look at this little combat result table here, and we will do between 1 and 6 wounds. But most likely 1 or 2, maybe 3 wounds is how this is going to work out, I would have thought. So let's get cracking. We'll start with the bandit leader, who has a combat skill of 6. So 6 minus my combat skill, which is 7 at the moment, because I did a bit of starving yesterday, gives -1. So we're going to roll 2d6 and subtract 1. Well, that's good, I think. Never quite know the combat in this game. So that is 4 minus 1 is 3. See, that does do a wound. A result of 3 does do a wound, which is a shame. So that's what I was talking about in the last video when I said the combat is a bit different in this game. You know, ordinarily a low roll, a low number means no damage, and then a high number means damage, or perhaps the other way round if it's a system where you're aiming to roll low. In this one, it's sort of slightly randomised, and it doesn't really matter what level you're rolling at. I mean, unless you're rolling low, really high, there's a chance that you're going to do some wounds, or fewer wounds, or more wounds. I guess, like I said, to represent the sort of randomness of combat. So he does 1 wound to me. Now the other 2 bandits are just regular bandits, so they have a combat skill of 5. So it's going to be 5 minus 7, so that's 2, minus 2. First one is rolling 6, 7, 8, 9, minus 2 is 7, and 7 does no wounds, that's good, alright. And the other one, exactly the same process. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 gives us 1 wound. So we have suffered 2 wounds. That's a real shame. So now I have to decide, am I going to try and escape, or am I going to try and fight? Problem is, if I fight, I'm then going to have to face all 3 of these bandits again, and it could very, very quickly get to the point where I'm on death's door. So I think I'm going to try and escape. Now is not the time to be fighting 3 bandits. So let me just have a quick read of the escape rules. All I do is roll 1 dice. A 4 or higher results in a successful escape. Anything else, and the battle continues. Alright, so 4 or more will allow me to escape. Okay, cool. So we have escaped. That is good. So then when I escape, I need to move randomly to one of the 6 adjacent hexes. Escapes across a river are prohibited. So really, my choices here are 3. 1 to go back into the town, and then I can escape to the north-east or the south-east. And I think, okay, so I've got a little chart here that shows me what to do. If I roll a 1, I go north, and then each of the numbers on a d6 represents a different direction. So let's go. And if we roll 1 that we can't do, then we just roll again. 3 gives us southeast. So southeast is down there. So into the woods we run. And we escaped the bandits safely, so at least we got out with our life. With that done, thoughts turn to food again. We still don't have any food. We need to get some food. Now that we are out of the town and in a forest, that means we can do some hunting. Over here on my chart, down at the bottom, there's just a little check to confirm that hunting can be done. So what we're going to do is we're going to total our combat skill. Ordinarily, if you've got a party of characters, if I had recruited some other individuals, we could select one of the party to go out hunting. Since it's only the Barbarian Prince, obviously he's going to go out hunting. So what we do is we total his combat skill, and half is current endurance. Combat skill is 7, current endurance is 7, so rounded down that would be 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we're going to roll 2 dice and subtract that from the total. So that is 4. 10 subtract 4 is 6, which means we now have 6 food. So each unit of food is enough to feed 1 character for 1 day. So this evening we're going to consume 1 of those units of food. Our Barbarian Prince will feast on the deer or the boar that he managed to hunt successfully in the forest. And that is the end of the day. We're going to move on to day 4. Once again, oh hang on, wait a minute. Wait a moment. I forgot about the Mercenary Royal Guard. If you remember, if you finish for a day in any hex north of Tragoth River, the Royal Guard may find you. So we're going to roll 1 die and then subtract 3. If the result is 1 or more, one of these events occurs. Alright, so we're going to roll 1 dice and subtract 3. This might seem a bit weird, but if you're in one of the towns, then you only subtract 2. I think is how it works. So we're going to roll the dice, subtract 3, and if the result is 1 or more, this event occurs. 5 subtract 3 is 2. So that means we do encounter the mercenary royal guard. Mercenary thugs dressed by the usurpers as their royal guardsmen are riding towards you. Roll 1 die for the number of men, each of which has combat skill 5, endurance 4, wealth 4. And then based upon what we roll, I guess we also have some options as well. We don't have to fight them. Hopefully we can get out of it without fighting them. Unless there's only one of them, in which case I might try and kill them. 6! That's just an absolute disaster. Yeah, if we'd have rolled a low number, we might have been able to do some kind of negotiation. If I'd rolled a 5 or a 4, I could have tried to bribe them, but I don't have any money anyway. I'm just looking at this and thinking maybe you need to use a separate die roll. I think you do. Because looking at an event further down, which is an encounter with a swordsman, don't have to roll to see the number of swordsmen, but then you do roll for the options. So I think that's the way I'm going to play it. You roll once for the number of guardsmen, and then you roll again to see what your options are. So we've got 6 guardsmen, and let's roll another dice to see what our options are. 3, that's a bit more like it. I'm not sure what pass means. I'll have a little sneaky look. Let's find out what pass means. That's rules 329. Right, so if I choose pass, then basically you just try and pass them. But there is a chance that they don't let you do that and you get drawn into a fight. So I could do that, or I could attack, or I could surprise. Now there's 6 of them, so clearly attacking these guys would basically be a suicide attempt. So I'm going to have to try and pass by them without anything nasty happening. So over in the rules here for pass, it says characters encountered have an unpleasant gleam in their eyes. You try to create a favourable impression anyway. Roll 1 die. If your wit and wiles exceeds the roll, they let your party pass. So my wit and wiles is 4. So if I roll more than 4, they'll let me pass. Is that right? No. If I roll less than the wit and wiles, then they'll let me pass. Okay, that is not less than my wit and wiles. That is 4. Unfortunately, I've rolled 4 there. And that means I'm going to have to fight them. So we're going to turn to R330 in the rules and subtract 1 from our dice roll here. Right, so we need to roll on this little battle reference chart here. And we're going to be subtracting 1, which I guess is a bad thing. 5. So then we're going to turn to 307. Attacked. Alright, characters encountered. Strike first in combat against your party. Really? So every single one of these 6 royal guardsmen are going to attack me. Absolutely brutal. They have a combat skill of 5. So I'm going to have to run away, aren't I? But probably lose a whole bunch of health in the meantime. So 5 minus my combat skill, so each one gets a -2. This is number 1, is 3, minus 2 is 1. So that's not doing any damage. So that's the first guy. Second guy, 8, minus 2 is 6. Oh, lucking out here. 6 does no damage, no wounds. Third guy, oh, that's high. 11 minus 2 is 9. 9 does no damage. This is very good. And the fourth guy, 8 minus 2 is 6. 6 does no damage. This is brilliant. Fifth guy, 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 does 1 wound. And the last one, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Minus 2 is 8. 8 does 1 wound. That could have gone a lot worse. Right, so I now have the choice of engaging them in combat, but I'd only be able to hit one of them, and then I'd get hit by all 6 again. So obviously I'm going to run away. Running away, what did I have to roll more than? Was it 4? I have to roll 4 or higher. Okay. Brilliant. So I successfully escape from the combat, which means I once again have to roll to see where I end up. Which way am I going? And then that will be the end of the day. Blimey. So a roll of 2 means we're going northeast. We can go northeast, can't we? Northeast is that way, which takes us to there. Well, there you go. I mean, so far, pretty brutal. We've moved into day 4. At least we've got some food. We've been hit a few times, so that kind of sucks. There's not much I can do about that. I mean, there are ways of healing in this game, but I don't think any of those are accessible to me right now. So I'm just going to crack on and try and cross this river so that I get away from the Royal Guardsmen. That is the plan. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and on an 8 or more we get lost trying to cross the river. Alright, so that means we haven't got lost. We then need to roll to see whether we have an event, and that'll be on a 10 or more. No event. Good, a nice peaceful river crossing. So we've got to cross the river, but we still need to roll to see whether we get lost moving into the next hex, which is a forest hex. So again, for the forest, we are going to be lost on an 8 or more, and we're not lost. Brilliant. Finally, a little bit of luck. So we've moved into a new hex. We've got across the river, thank goodness. And we need to just roll for an event in this hex. So we'll have an event on a 9 or more. 6, 7, 8, 9. So we do have an event. So we're going to roll 2 dice. The blue dice is going to be along the top, orange dice down the side. 2, 1. Really? Mercenaries? Okay. So we're going to encounter some mercenaries. Looking at event 004. So you observe a small band of mercenaries approaching. The leader is mounted on a horse with combat skill 6, endurance 6, wealth 50. Roll 1 die for the number of men with him. Troopers are mounted if there are 1 or 2, on foot otherwise. Interesting. So it might be that we have some combatants here that are on horseback. So 1 dice to see how many, the number of men with the leader. 1. Good. So we've got some mercenaries, 1 leader and 1 trooper on horseback. So we're going to roll a die to see what our options are here. 6. So my options are to be attacked or to escape. I think that's only if I'm mounted. Escape MTD. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Yeah, so I can't escape. That's only an option if you have a mount. So I'm going to get attacked. Brutal. 306. So we're going to look at rules. Entry 306. Attacked. Roll 1 dice. If your wit and wiles exceeds the dice roll, You strike first in combat, otherwise they will. So fingers crossed we get to strike first. Yes. No. Right, so that means they strike first, which is, I'm kind of getting used to this now. Hopefully I get to run away without too much damage being done. So let's have a look. See, they're going to strike first. We'll start with the leader. He has a combat skill of 6, so we're going to be subtracting 1 from this roll because mine is 7. Difference is -1. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 does 1 wound. This is brutal. And then the other guy has a combat skill of 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. 7 does no damage. Okay, so let's see if my running away luck continues. If I roll a 4 or more, I get to run away. 5. The only way I've been lucky in this game so far is my ability to run away. So we're running. We need to work out where we're running to. Alrighty, so we're going to roll a dice and see which way we escape. 4. 4 gives us south. Alright, so we're going to run off into the mountains. And that's the end of the day. End of the day, we're going to consume one of our food. Going down to 4 units of food. And then we're going to move on to day 5. But I think day 5, folks, we will do in a new video. Fingers crossed, my luck improves a little as we continue this playthrough of Barbarian Prince. Thanks very much for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.